In the past 24 hours, we've seen 3 more dares from the Dragon. What is China up to? So far we knew of the mind games that China was playing at the Doklam Plateau, of the scuffle that took place at the Pangong Lake, and the incursion that had taken place, or a slight transgression that had taken place in the Barahoti sector. But this isn't restricted to just that. China is now actually playing more mind games. The psychological warfare gets to the next level. India Today's Beijing correspondent Anant Krishnan with this India Today exclusive.
Dragon's Dare number 1. Back terror headquarter Pakistan. Pakistan's all-time ally China is frantically dialing the American hotline to defend India's neighbor known for shielding and backing terror. First Pakistan and now China is howling. This just 48 hours after Trump's warning to put Pakistan to put an end to terror. Here is what China is backing. A nation that harbors terrorists like Dawood, Hafiz Saeed and Syed Salahuddin. And where terror masterminds of the 26/11 Mumbai carnage go scot-free and even join politics. But China insists on playing blind and insists that the nation that actually uses terror to hurt India is on the front line of the fight against terror. Dragon's Dare number 2. Ladakh road equals India's self-slap. Two months into the Doklam standoff, China is ramping up its provocations in other bordering states. Less than 10 days after the face-off at Pangong Lake, Ladakh remains China's favorite point to needle India. As India continues with its road project roughly 20 kilometers near the Pangong Lake and along the line of actual control, the Chinese Foreign Ministry has labelled it as a self-slap on India's face. Dragon's Dare number 3. August Advisory. Beijing has issued yet another advisory within the last 45 days, warning Chinese citizens in India against natural disasters, infectious diseases, traffic accidents and safety risk. 24 hours, 3 big dragon dares. The provocations escalating. It's clear, Beijing is hell-bent on doing anything to shatter India's calm. With Anant Krishnan in Beijing, Bureau Report, India Today.
Unfortunately for China, there's so much happening within India that it's not getting the kind of response it expects of all the shrill and provocative statements that China is making. But I quickly want to cut across to India Today's Beijing correspondent Anant Krishnan for the latest on this. Anant, 24 hours and 3 dares. What warrants this word war that China is unleashing on India?
Well, that's right. It certainly does seem like a tit for tat. China today saying and drawing a link between India building a road in Ladakh near the Pangong Lake, clearly on India's side of the line of actual control, but Beijing drawing an equivalence with that and what is China's road building in Doklam, which is, as India sees it, which is Bhutanese territory. Beijing saying that India had made the situation harder to resolve in this 2-month-long standoff by building a road in Ladakh, and in the Foreign Ministry's unusually sharp words, India had slapped its own face. But of course, it's a link that India will certainly question, given that India's road projects in Ladakh or on India's side of the LAC, but China's road building is in a territory that's acknowledged by both China and Bhutan to be disputed territory. So of course, it's more about Beijing ratcheting up the pressure on India just weeks before, or even days before Prime Minister Modi comes to China for the BRICS summit on September 2nd. And it seems to be part of course, Beijing's strategy of keeping up the pressure and getting India to withdraw its troops from Doklam.
Or with India not reacting in the manner in which China expects India to kowtow to Beijing, is China increasingly coming under more pressure, and is that why we see these shrill rhetorical statements that are coming from Beijing, and also the actions of the Chinese border guards at the Pangong Lake on the 15th of August. Now, India today's Kamaljeet Kaur Sandhu travelled to that high altitude lake, 1/3 of which is in India, 2/3 in Chinese territory, and she gets us this exclusive ground report.
A video that rattled the world. Pictures that India won't be forgetting in a hurry. A reminder of just how unpredictable China really is. But what's the full story? India today travels to Leh, then to Pangong, 224 kilometers. A 5-hour journey crossing the second highest motorable road in the world, the Changla Pass. The ground report you're about to watch coming after that viral video of India and Chinese troops locking horns, even indulging in stone pelting. The Indian Border Patrol's timely interception of Chinese soldiers to cross the line of actual control in the Pangong So area. The incident seeing some escalation, with troops on both sides eventually resorting to shoving, pushing and throwing stones at one another, causing injuries. The Chinese troops tried to enter the Indian side in 2 areas, Finger 4 and Finger 5, twice between 6 and 9 a.m. Indian border patrols were successful in preventing the incursion attempts, which fell on India's Independence Day.
Bangla, this is at 17,688 feet, and this is obviously one of those posts which are extremely crucial. It's a stopover. It also says this is the second highest motorable road, the first one obviously being also in Leh Ladakh area.
The tensions palpable as army troops and vehicles ply on the crucial arterial road to Pangong. Not far away from the line of actual control, India Today gets you these first exclusive pictures of army troops rehearsing their defense preparedness against Chinese troops in harsh conditions of over 12,000 feet. The rough terrain, with oxygen rarefied and commanding the entire strength of an army soldier, anticipating increased intrusion attempts by the Chinese army. The lake is 134 kilometers long and extends from India to China. Approximately 60% of the length of the lake lies in China, 40% within India.
After the 15th August scuffle between the Indian and Chinese troops, India Today is back at Pangong. We'll show you the aerial view first. Just see that blue lake, 1/3 in possession of India, with the Chinese troops coming in, including into...
First, some immediate history. On the 15th of April 2013, a platoon-sized contingent of the Chinese PLA set up camp in Rakhi Nala, 30 kilometers south of Daulat Beg Oldie near the Aksai Chin Ladakh line of actual control. A standoff that lasted 21 days. In 2014, 50 Chinese soldiers entered Chumar, days after 100 troops had crossed into Indian territory. Sources said that the two sides were maintaining a distance of just 200 meters from each other in Demchok, another standoff point in Ladakh. The standoff took a new turn with the Chinese troops pitching 7 tents well within the Indian territory and showing no signs of withdrawing from it.
Pangong Lake is extremely strategic to India, and that is why what China is doing here at Pangong Lake seems to be extremely important. Is this just one-off incident, or is this a strategic move by China? The other part is obviously how during the LAC period, even in Chushul, we've seen a move come from China. But is that an equation with Pakistan? Is there an ulterior motive to keep India on the edge? Those are many of the unanswered questions.
India and China share over 4,000 kilometers of a disputed border. China claims approximately 90,000 square kilometers of territory in Arunachal Pradesh, besides 38,000 square kilometers in Jammu and Kashmir.
Tensions between Indian and Chinese troops continue unabated. There has been a visit of the Chief of Armed Forces as well as the Supreme Commander of Armed Forces, which is the President of India. This is not just mere symbolism. This is obviously a clear signal both to India and China that India will not give an inch of land. What is also significant is that India will counter China's any move strategically and diplomatically.
The Chinese Foreign Ministry has so far rejected overtures of peace by India's Foreign Minister and Home Minister Rajnath Singh over the Doklam standoff, which has not seen any sign of ending, despite peace attempts by India. China, on the other hand, is escalating the issue by further expanding its intrusion attempts into Pangong. As we report from here, on the banks of one of the most beautiful lakes in the world, there is chronic uncertainty about when the next provocation will come. With Kamaljeet Sandhu at Pangong So, Bureau Report, India Today.
Now this place is very beautiful, this high altitude Pangong So lake. 1/3 in India, 2/3 in China. It's a tourist spot. A large number of motorcyclists go there, a large number of adventure enthusiasts go into this area. But this tension between India and China and video of that scuffle going viral, has this deterred tourists? Clearly not. Take a look. Kamal sends us this ground report.
The August 15th video capturing Indian and Chinese troops in a violent scuffle, a hand-to-hand combat and even stone pelting may have resulted in an ugly war of words and even more strained relations. But contrary to fears that the peak tourism season in Ladakh could take a hit, India Today's team found a steady stream of tourists heading out to the stunning lake.
The first thing we asked them, whether it's going to hurt the trip, change the sentiments. I said everything is fine, all good. And I read we have defense background, so all things adds to it. Everything is quite normal and we're looking forward to it.
Right now things seem, people seem to have just buckled down and taken it in stride. And it's a wait and see situation. So people are carrying on with their plans.
I feel like a normal place. I read a newspaper, but very little in Italy about the conflict from China and India.
In case you're thinking of heading to Ladakh at this time, we suggest you have no worries at all. To be sure, we also spoke to hotels and travel agents operating in this area.
टूरिज्म वही है, जैसे थोड़ा होता है ना, ऐसा कुछ नहीं है यहाँ पे। तो ऐसा कोई है नहीं है कि थोड़ा न्यूज़ में वो बोलते कि वैसा है वैसा। तो मैक्सिमम लोग तो चाहे वो पैंगोंग लेक तो जा ही रहे मैक्सिमम लोग।
ऐसा अभी तक तो ऐसा कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ा है। Nobody is caring about this stone, throwing stone and all everything. तो अभी तक ऐसा कोई भी प्रॉब्लम नहीं हुआ है टूरिस्ट को भी और लोकल्स को भी।
India Today took the treacherous journey of 224 kilometers to reach Pangong. We stopped at Changla, the second highest motorable road in the world.
We have two of the tourists who are headed towards Pangong region. Is there any doubt in your mind there seems to be some sort of a standoff, even stone pelting happened between Indian and Chinese troops? You're headed towards the region. Anything, any apprehension? Did you check with the tour operator? What do you think about that, about this entire scenario?
We don't have any apprehension. Okay. Thank you.
No apprehension. So you're going ahead with your plan?
Yes.
So going ahead with the plan, that's what it seems like. But that's the region they're headed towards, and so are we. And we'll find out soon as to what it is going to be like.
When we reached Pangong, we saw tourists sprawled over the crystal blue lake.
India Today is on ground zero. We are at the Pangong Lake. There is a huge lake here. Remember, there's one part of it, the security bit. Then there is another part where tourists are coming here.
There are so many military troops, military camps.
just by the lake, like by the river. On one side there's village and on the other side there's military camp. So the security is so tight, we just don't have to worry for anything.
You don't have to worry. We'll speak to the banker parents. This is Mukhewar. Obviously, do tell us, you're a banker from Mumbai. You come here with a family. We see a lot of photography happening right behind. But was there a concern regarding that perhaps the scuffle could get a little bit more, you coming here with a family?
There is no scuffle, there is no fear at all. Anybody can come over here with a family and enjoy the lake.
At this time, tourists from across India throng this troubled spot, enjoying themselves and soaking in the heavenly beauty. The sense of patriotism reflecting in each one of them.
ऐसा कुछ टेंशन हमें दिखाई नहीं दे रहा। तो 16 अगस्त से लेकर आज तक we've been 3 days, 3 दिन हम लोग लेह में थे और उसके बाद नुब्रा गए और हमारा प्लान
तो आपका कंटिन्यूअस टूर चल रहा है।
पता भी नहीं चल रहा है, फोन कॉल्स आ रहे हैं घर से कि ऐसा कुछ हुआ है जो न्यूज़ पे देख रहे हैं पेरेंट्स और फैमिलीज बैक होम।
The violent brawl between Indian and Chinese soldiers took place just kilometers from where these tourists bask in the glory of the Pangong Lake. But there's no tension.
We have been in Leh for like last 3-4 days, but absolutely nothing has been happening there.
The tourism department in Leh has confirmed that there have been no major cancellations. In fact, tourist numbers have actually spiked since the August 15th incident. Tourism flow has increased from 1.35 lakh last year to 1.9 lakh for the period up to 15th August. A very heartening sign for small businesses in the area. With Kamaljit Sandhu at Pangong Lake, Bureau Report, India Today.
And this is what something perhaps what China does not accept or is unable to realize. Despite China ratcheting up tensions so much, what is India doing? Indians in fact, they're keeping India first. They're enjoying in Sikkim, they're enjoying in Ladakh and going there in larger numbers. Whatever be the issue, negotiations and dialogue is the only way forward.